think the clear example was the Women's World Cup football.
Yes.
That had an amazing turnout throughout Australia and New Zealand. And I believe that was, I think the level has gone way up to show the quality that women's sport has come. I mean, it's always been there, but now it's being recognized at that top level. And the difference of what women's sport bring is that it's not just the fans of the sport, it's the people. Like when the World Cup football, it was recorded that more women and families came to watch the women's sport rather than just football fans. Yeah. So they create actually a different approach or different audience coming to watch all in the stadiums, full stadiums in Australia, full stadiums in New Zealand, and now after that Women's World Cup, like the Australian government has just planted like 200 million US dollars in women's sport. And that's the difference, because the game of women, when women play sport, is more strategy, and you can see the difference because they actually use that strategy and you can follow it.
Yeah.
So with squash, it's also the same, tennis is also the same. You need to work, because we are not as strong, but we need to use more strategy and how do we place the ball better. And it's very clear. So for the public audience, they understand the sport better. They know that, oh yeah, I have to do this because this results to the next shot.
Yeah.
So women's sport is actually so much more entertaining. It's so much more for the public audience, and it will give so much more attraction, and it's the next investment for just in general. That's the best investment to make in women's sport now more than ever.
Yeah, I think that relates back to Sophie's one of our panels yesterday. She was saying about she has all this data from studies conducted in ASEAN countries and European countries. When women compete, like what Nicole was saying, Dr. Nicole was saying, that we bring our families. So we not only educate our kids, but also the whole family, and it changes the socio-economic outlook of the whole family. And you know, as we know, in all families, women are the ones that actually stand out and do all the work. Yeah, so I think that concludes our session for today, but I'm not sure whether if any of you have, I'm sure some of you have questions to ask these three distinguished athletes. If any of you have any questions, probably we can open the floor for 3 questions at least. We were supposed to end at 9:30, but I kind of like extended it. Sorry, organizer. Oh, 10 now. She said she'll give us an extension until 10.
Okay.
So if any of you have any questions, probably, no, they came all the way. Sharon, do you have any questions? Put you on the spot. Okay.
Hello, I'm Sharon, former teammate of Nicole David. So to see Nicole, who you know where she came from and all the way, it's really amazing, and really look up to you as well. Although you are my junior, so again, very inspiring to hear from all 4 of you actually, Yayo, Shanti, and also Charlene as well. Being former athlete right now, and of course in the athletes community as a woman. Where do you think we should put ourselves, not just in the community of sports, but in the eye of the community, not just in our country, but in the world? How can we contribute further? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone wants to answer?
Where we want to go, we put it with side for the women, yeah, when in the middle of not only in the sport, but yes, I think it's not that I'm too confident being a woman, but of course I want to be equal as the men, and also actually women are multitasking. You know, we did everything. For example, okay, while we're You know, while we're raised, you know, growing up, of course, being as an athlete, for example. But it's not only because you're also an athlete, but you prove it that you're a champion. Maybe compared to others, the men. Seriously, for example, in Indonesia, women is always ahead. For the sports, I'm talking, yeah? But for the rest of us, now we try to prove it also that, I'm sorry, I'm a politician, that I want to prove it that, you know, that we are also among not only men. Politics is not only for men, but it's also for women. That's on my decision becoming into the politician, because I have to also conclude and feel full time being a politician right now. But then in the rest of us, for example, same thing. You know, if we talk about with other, for example, other people or other, if I could say for me, for example, constituent, with the men's side, listen, I said, why I said woman is multitasking? Because, you know, you raise up, you prove that you're a great athlete, you know, and you prove it also you're a champion. Second of all, one day when you're married and having a kid, they even taking care, being a housewife and taking care of the babies, but then they also going to work, also helping the economy for the men. You know, so I say, if it's right now, woman and the man, we're no different, I could have said. But I'm really proving that woman, we are more than, it's not that you're ahead, of course, especially when you hear about, you know, a Muslim way. Oh, men always ahead, woman always behind. No, there's not anymore. That we have to prove that we are equal, that we also can do for a family. We can do also for people, and women are more committed to it. That's the most important. You know, I'm sorry, sometimes there's few men here, I'm sorry to say, yeah, but men, they have other things to do, also something that they think around outside of, how to say, for example, this room, you know. But women, when you are committed to it, you give 100%, 200%, you commitment. And that's why a lot also of people, they believe that women can guide them, that women can prove it that they can help others more than the men. Men having their self-ego more. Women, no, we're always gathering, we're always together. Thank you, that's my part.
Good answer. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Datuk Zaitun.
I want to ask Shalin just to share with us this competition when you beat all the 15 men, the best bowlers in the world. Yeah, being the only woman participation, bowler who beat the rest of the men. When you enter that competition, you are the only woman, and how you went to beat them. Yeah, maybe it will inspire us.
Oh, okay.
Share.
Moderator pun kena tanya soalan Okay, thank you Datuk Zaitun. Actually, Datuk Zaitun was one of my mental trainers as well when I was competing. So I would always go to her room and ask her questions. Yeah, so I think the one you mentioned, Datuk, was in 2001, right? When I played against Tori Torgerson. So for me, personally, because my passion is competition and sports, and also sports psychology. That's what I took in university, sports psychology, because I think that, as the three of you mentioned, that is what differentiates us, whether we're in the 5% or the 95%. So going into the competition, actually in England, where I won, it was hard because that's one of the few. It's only the top 16 players, the best 16 players in the world, gets invited to bowl in that competition, which is the World Champion Masters. And then at that time, I actually was kind of recovering from my somewhat not mental breakdown, but I had like a very bad performance to me in the 98 Commonwealth Games. Me and Nicole were there in Malaysia because a lot of expectations were on me to win the gold, but I didn't win the gold. I won the silver and the bronze, but to me at that moment in time, I felt like I was a total failure, even though I still won. Thinking back right now, you think like, why would you think that of yourself? But yeah, so I was actually struggling between 98 to 2001. You could call it like a mental slump, kind of. I like, should I still continue, like drama, should I still continue with my bowling career? Or, you know, like I felt like I let the whole country down. So I felt that, and I was like, okay, that's the time where I actually decided, okay, I'm gonna do something else that's related to sports as well, which I actually enrolled in a university here, University of Malaya. And that's when I actually found, like ignited my second phase of my career, and I found out why things, no, as an athlete you always know, or your coach will tell you, especially like before in the 90s, early 90s, do this, but you don't question them why, you just do it. But now as athletes, you need to be independent thinking athletes, you need to know why. So when I went to university, I studied, and then, oh, okay, this is why I need to do that. So I got a broader perspective of sports and of sports psychology. So in between 98 2001, I was actually trying out different recipes for my mental game by reading autobiographies of other athletes. So I collect autobiographies of other athletes. I like to read and to see what are they doing different, what works for them, and try it out for me, because I was having problems going through the pressure at that time in Malaysia. So I was like, I went through a lot. During each finals or competition that I go to, I would try different techniques, different routines, different sequences. And alhamdulillah, in 2001, actually when I competed in the World Champion Masters, I actually found the right recipe that works for me. And yeah, even though, if you see the video clip on YouTube, I actually beat him by 3 pins or 2 pins, I think. Yeah, and I was the first female to win that competition, because that's one of the few competitions where we compete with men head-to-head scratch. So we don't have any handicap, so it's a head-to-head scratch, and it's one game head-to-head. So actually, we competed in 2 games. The first game, actually, I made a mistake in the first 2 frames. I think I threw a gutter shot, longkang, masuk longkang. Bukan orang yang beginner yang masuk longkang tau. Orang yang pro dah main 20 tahun masuk longkang juga. So it's normal. So then a lot of people didn't the drain, yeah. A lot of people would think that, you know, such a high level competition and there's only one lane and there's like people watching right and left. So you're like, oh, you feel ashamed. But I was luckily, because of my past experiences and my past failures and successes, I was able to get my game back up and my mind back on track to what I was able to control, which was my shots. And I just took one shot at a time. I took my time with my pre-shot routine. At that time, a lot of people didn't really put a lot of emphasis on mental training in bowling. So I took my time, my pre-shot routine, and I think he felt more pressure than me because he's a male. He can't lose to a female, especially scratch. So I took advantage of that. And I've always been very animated when I compete because I shout. So that's one of the ways for me, my coping strategy, to, instead of you just holding everything in, you shout to let go of that nervousness and everything that's built up inside you. So yeah, so the second game, I was going head to head with him. He had 5 strikes, I had 5 strikes. And then towards the end, I knew I had to like double or a strike in the 10 frame to win, to beat him. And all I was thinking was, yeah, okay, just go through your pre-shot routines. I'll go through like, because I always list down, that's why I was asking Shanti just now, checklist of what I would think. Because during pressure situations, like all of you mentioned, your mind sometimes goes blank. So you don't know what you're thinking, what you should think. So when you're so used to having that checklist, automatically your mind just goes to the next motion. So I was able to go through the next motion, and I just told myself, okay, I know you're nervous, and I always tell myself this, but this is what you train for. You train to be in this situation. So why are you like backing out? Just enjoy the moment. This is what you train for, to be in that situation. And I just told myself, you can do it. Just look at your target, at what you're supposed to do, concentrate on the process, and the results will come. And that's what I did. And fortunately, alhamdulillah, for me at that time, I was able to beat him. And yeah, he's been teased ever since. So, but he's a good friend of mine, yeah, Tori Torgerson. So that's what I experienced, and what I think I hope more athletes pay attention to. Like all of us here already told you about our life history, our experiences, and I think a lot of the common traits here, you can see dedication, resilience, coming back from failures, from Shanti's 2018 hard year. She came back 5 years as well. Yeah, so any last question for anyone? Yeah, we have one more. Oh, two more, okay.
Good evening. I'm Musliha from Rowing, Malaysia. Nicole, Datuk Nicole, as you mentioned about the transformation, the awareness, or the shift of culture by the Australians and the New Zealanders, that cherish the women's sports. There is a saying that it takes a village to raise a daughter, right? So in your time, back during the days, how was it? How does the support system around you works for you?
To be honest, I had one of the best support systems here in Malaysia since I was a kid. Yeah. Since I was a junior, I had funding to travel overseas. Coming from a family that is, like middle-income family, my parents wouldn't afford to take me abroad to play competition outside to gain experience, and I had that because the funding was here in Malaysia, and they were starting to pump more funds because they saw potential in our squash players. So I was one of the potential players that they were funding, and throughout my career, not just juniors, but all through my professional career, I was supported by the Malaysian government. So without that, I wouldn't be able to have the path that I took. I would have just gone to university. I'm like, I got no funds. I just, I may have potential, but, I might as well just go to uni and have a career. But what Malaysia has done is they created a pathway for our athletes to see that there's a means to be an athlete, to be a professional athlete. And all of us here that have gone through the system, we got that support, and not many countries get that. In the professional tour on the squash scene, Malaysia is one of the very few that the Malaysian squash players are getting funded to play competition in the pro tour and also in the junior level. So I had when I moved to Amsterdam at 18 years old, I trained with my coach Liz Irving, a former world champion for Australia, and she was the one that really turned my game around from when I was an 18-year-old kid, junior, to become the top professional athlete. And it took me 4 years to really get to that world number one and world title win, but that 4 years I had to break everything to zero. I had to start all over again, because if you want to be the best, you have to then start again. You have to break down the bad habits. You have to break down all the small things that is holding you back to then find a way to beat that top 10 players. So I studied how to hold a racket, how to hit the ball. Sharon was there with me at that starting point because we knew that we needed to be outside to gain that experience. I got so much here, but I also had the support to get me further, and that's what I needed to do. But I couldn't do that without that extra funds, and I was lucky that also sponsors came in because I had the tournament wins behind me, like Asian Games gold medals and World Championships as well. I mean the World Juniors, but it's very different in the professional tour. So very, very glad that I had my physios with me, traveling with me throughout my journey. I had my sports science here to look after my training regime to make sure everything was precise to my ability. And my coach was there with me for 15 years at the very top, and also when I was going downhill as well. And I think when you have a female coach, I was one of the few that had a female coach growing up in Penang, and also a female coach on tour. And I think Shanti said it, and also like all of us, when you have a good coach and a good mentor, you can have someone to look up to feel secure that whatever they're telling you, it's legit, you know? It's like you know that they are taking you to the right path. You also observe what's good for you. And coaches, good female coaches and good coaches themselves have that empathy to know that when they've been there before, they've been a female athlete before, there's so much emotions that go behind playing at that high level. Is very different to most, male athletes, or actually all athletes in general. But it's just that I had my coach there right beside me to show me the way, and I'm the very few squash players that achieve what I've achieved to have female coaches around me. So I think we need to really encourage more women coaches. We need to give them opportunities to have or means to coach, not only just coaching, but all levels of the administration side. Now the industry is growing so big, the sports industry. So this is the time to really capitalize our female leaders that now all of you here have a role, and that is to encourage each other and to encourage more of your friends or female leaders in their own right to be part of something bigger with sport, with the community, to do something to keep active, and that from using sport, it translates in such bigger things. So that's my personal experience, that having those role models growing up helped me to be who I am today, my family, my sisters, my mom, but more importantly now how we can use our Malaysian community here, this ASEAN conference, that can change the outlook of women's sport to a wider audience.
Great answer. Okay, we have one last question by Dr. Tengku Fadila. Didi, tolong.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm really very honored to listen to the ladies on the stage, and very good moderation by Charlene. Let's come back home. And I'm literally saying home. And this question is actually addressed to Madam Yayuk as well as Charlene as parents. Yeah. So I am actually quite very pleased, like right now. Shanti, are you parent as well? Oh no, okay.
27, she's baru 27.
Apa, this is preparation for future. Okay.
Take notes, Shanti.
Nicole, anyway, I'm very pleased that former legends of Malaysian, for example, Nurul Huda, Charlene, and Nicole, you're in the system where you can actually make macam be part of the decision making. Yeah. I used to admire Pelé from Brazil and Platini, yeah, who were the voices for FIFA, and they were ex-athletes before, yeah. But this is to Madam Yayu Basuki, yeah. You were a player and now you're a parent, yeah. So when you got involved with administration, you wanted to make a change. You became a politician. Was it by calling? Yeah, because yesterday Dato Shamala was mentioning about you got to be in the decision-making position. Yeah, was it by calling or was it your interest to become a politician for the sake of sports? Yeah, and that one. And now that you're being a parent, you are a parent now. Would you put your children through the grills that you went through? Yeah, are your children tennis players now? Are your children, Charlene, bowlers now? I know Nurul who does his children are not competitive swimmers, and neither are mine. So, oh, they are. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, we have heard that the hand that rocks the cradle rocks the world. And we're in the world of sports now, and we want women to rock the world. Okay, so I want your perspective, yeah, about that, the choice to make, to be in the parliament, to make, to have your voice heard, okay, and also your experience as a parent now. Yeah. Would you put your children to the grill? Charlene and Madam Yayu Basuki.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Are you going
Tengku.
Charlene first or
We let the politicians talk first. I'm sure she has
Thank
more
you.
to say.
Yes, yes, I'm one of the, that time I was one of the anchor to make a decision, especially for sport. And about Colin, or actually, in the beginning, I think I was like, it's not what I want to become a politician, yeah. But I have to think for others. Many others, especially I was listening, a lot of my friends, especially mostly athlete, of course, you know, they all they, how to say in English, churhat. Churhat is like a, you know, they're telling me that I think somebody has to be in the system, because otherwise you can't decide nothing, you can't do anything. Because in politics, you can decide something. So I said, oh wow, okay, has to be in the politics, yeah? I said, because way back before, it was maybe 2004, somebody already asking to me, come to me and ask if I want to become a politician. I said, my kids is still pretty young, it's still a little kid actually. So, okay, just my question, I said, where do I have to be loyal to the people or to the party? At that time, you know, when you're an athlete, you're very, how to say, how to say? Yes, exactly. So, and the answer, of course, first, you have to think, you have to loyal to the party. Okay, I'm sorry, but I cannot do it right now, I said. So I decided not to become a politician. That was 2004. But then, I was working in Hong Kong for a year, 2011, right after the ASEAN Games. I was working in Hong Kong for 1 year, and then coaching the Chinese athlete who got benefit there, got supported by the Hong Kong government. And then right year after, I went back first before I continue my contract. You know, I got offer actually one in Hong Kong, one in Australia, working as development project, and also one in Canada. But then I haven't answered them. So I went back to Jakarta, and I say, you know, most of my colleges, most of my friends, we have a little meeting. This is all of the Olympians, because I'm involved in the Olympians, and now I'm the the president of the Indonesian Olympians Association. So they all saying that, yeah, I think you have to turn and to jump and to become a politician. I said, why? Because of this. The first thing, the most important thing is a budget, okay? The second thing is they don't care about an athlete, yeah, or sports. They don't have any plan for life after sports for an athlete, okay? And third of all, of course, rewarding. Because some people expect reward, some people or some athlete, they expect, what do I do afterwards? Then, okay, I'm listening to say politics. I'm like, oh my God, okay. I say, give me 2 weeks, I will answer you. So then we have a little meeting again. So yes, finally I answer them. And actually I raised them also, where were you? Where you gonna be at? I said, okay, I'm gonna jump into the politics. And whoever want also come with me to become a politician. Some of them, it's not because you have the money, I'm sorry, politics issues, big issues. It's not because you're wealthy enough or you have the money, but what you should do when you break in the system. You have to work. What is your mandatory things? So that's what I challenge them. So finally, the answer, so yes, there's only few of us who's willing to become a politician. And then after we campaign, and that time it was just, I'm the only one who break through. So I'm the one that is like an anchor to fight for the sports. And just everything we'll do, I try to make a change. I try to improve and make the system, the new rules. And which is not easy, because sometimes, you know, the politics, you have to lobbying. You have to lobby who is the head of the commission, head. So I did that. I have to lobby this, okay, doesn't matter, what I want is this, whatever the head of the commission wants it, okay. But anyway, we collaborate, so finally we make it some change in the rules. But the one that I'm still not satisfied with it is the budget. We still have a low budget for the sports. So this is what I'm trying to fight. Otherwise, I say, our Indonesian athlete or sport ain't going anywhere. I said, that's why. And about the kids, it's following us. Oh wow. Actually, when he was growing up, he was little. Yes, he's following me by playing tennis. Yes, of course. But then, in the end of the high school, I said, son, our mom only have one son. I only have one son. I said, in the beginning, I was telling him if he could go to US or to Australia to get the scholarship. Yes, to get a scholarship, because by playing tennis, you can get a full scholarship. And a lot of, I have a lot of students that I send them to US that are getting a great scholarship, full board, everything there. But then I was thinking, at that time in US are not too safe. So, and I only have one son. So that's why I asked him and talked to him between mom and son, heart to heart. It's like, okay, what should we do? And then he came up with a very good decision. He said, Mom, it's okay, I can go to uni here in Indonesia, okay? Now, where you want to prefer? So, of course, he has to go through all the tests and everything. So, finally, yes, now he already graduated from the uni. It's what they call engineering. So, he became an engineer. I don't know where that came from, because the mom and dad is more like economic and the management. But this is the engineering. I was like, oh, wow, okay. But anyway, yeah, he graduated. from one of the best school in Jakarta, in also in Indonesia actually. But then to become a politician, I'm sorry, not. I'm not involving him into the politician. Even my husband, whatever I have to decide, whatever I want to do something making, I'm not letting them to involve it. So I'm the one, of course, with my party, and what do I choose, what do I decide, and what is the system it's create. If I need an advice, yes, okay. Sometimes you do need an advice, because sometimes you get stuck. There's so many things in your head, so many pressure in your head. But then, when we decide clearly, said, then I put them on the side. Just me, I'm the one, because I'm already deciding my way. I choose my way to serve the people. I choose my way to serve most, to involve more into the sports, and making especially the women and for others, that I can raise them and supporting them from the system. Thank you.
Great answer. Okay, my turn now. Okay, doctor. For me, I think for those that followed my career the last 30 years, I've always been an outspoken athlete. You can ask Rajesh. She writes the articles I always question about. So I think, because for me, one of the things that I wanted to do was have choices once I retired, because I saw all my predecessors before me and some other athletes before me who were not so fortunate after they retired. Because a lot of people think after you retire, your life stops. But actually, it doesn't. Retirement just is another chapter of your life. You know, sports is only part of your life, but it's not your whole life. You learn that after you retire, but not when you're still competing. When you're still competing, sports is life. Because I've always been outspoken, and my parents have always taught me, like, okay, you know, you can always question things, but obviously in a nice manner, so that you don't hit unnecessary buttons. But I always feel that things needed to change. And the only way to change was from within. And a lot of athletes now are outspoken compared to before, which is good, but not many want to come within the system. If you're not within the system, nothing will change. So that's why I was very fortunate to have a lot of female leaders in sports that I look up to, that actually paved the way for me and make me decide to be into this area. I mean, I always thought that when I retired, because I was sports major in sports psychology and coaching, so I thought, yeah, maybe I'll do coaching. But then I'm like, okay. After I started coaching, like, oh, maybe, you know, I can. At that moment in time, I was thinking, like, because I was also helping out in our sports administration in our bowling association in Malaysia. So I dabbled in sports administrating, coaching the Sukma level athletes, and then also, being an athlete myself. So I'm like, okay, I was thinking, like, okay, which part or which path can I help make a bigger difference? A lot of athletes, when they retire, they think coaching. If you ask them, okay, what do you want to, after you retire, what are you going to do, coach? 80% will say coach. But I think because a lot of my other teammates are coaches now in our bowling association in MTBC, so I think if they are coaching, I think I can contribute in other aspects that can make the whole ecosystem a lot better. So I actually, 10 years ago, I think, I actually, one of the things that I wrote, I always write down goals and things like that, but one of the things that I wrote down is actually, I want to make a change and maybe work in the National Sports Council, which I am right now. I'm quite surprised by that, but yeah. But I had good leaders like Dato' Zaitun, Prof. Shamala, Nurul, and a lot of other female Datuk Marina, a lot of other good female leaders that actually helped pave the way and like kind of like showed me, okay, I think this area I can make a bigger difference in. So yeah, so that's why I'm in the National Sports Council right now, heading MACE, Malaysian Athletes Career and Education. So we take care of all the athletes' welfare that's related to education, career, and welfare. If you tell the athletes, sometimes they don't remember MACE, but if you tell them I'm in charge of incentives, Shakam, okay, then they remember, because that's where the money comes from. So yeah, so I'm heading MACE, and the second part of the question was like, whether I'll encourage my child to become an athlete. Yes. She has always, my daughter Alia's 12, yes, she actually sat in yesterday during the night session. She was interested. So, but everybody asked her, so are you going to be a bowler like your mom? Because both me and my husband bowl. Same like Mrs. Yasuki. So I was like, she said, no. She didn't even have to think about it. It's like natural instinct, no. Then everybody's like, why? Your parents are bowlers. They're world champions. She said, no. So being a coach, both of us are coaches as well. My husband is the head coach for the national juniors. So we realized that through our coaching experiences, that a lot of athletes leave their dreams to their kids. And I think that's a mistake. Because actually, we have to encourage our kids according to their interest and passion. So, unfortunately, my daughter doesn't like bowling, but she likes hockey. So, right now I'm a hockey mom. Prof. Shamala knows. So, but she plays other sports as well. She's always been very active and hyper. She plays taekwondo, golf, swimming, and hockey. But her passion right now is hockey. So we encourage that. If you ask my husband whether whether he wanted her to become an athlete, he said no, it's too hard. But but actually he does. But the only thing that we said, if she were to become an athlete, be an athlete in an Olympic sport. Because both of us are bowlers, and even if we've won like 10 world championships, unfortunately, sometimes you don't get the same recognition as Olympians. That's unfortunate because it's the same amount of blood, sweat, and tears that you pour in. But yeah, so for me and my husband, we want her to find her own passion, and we just encourage her so that at the end of the day, when they grow up, it has to be their story, not our story. So yeah, we just encourage her. Right now it's hockey. I don't know 5 or 10 years from now what it'll be next, but yeah. So I think as parents, it's our responsibility to just encourage our kids to find their passion, because all of us in this room know that if it's not your passion, it's going to be a very, very long journey, because there's a lot of sacrifices that needs to be done for them to reach the top. So yeah, that's my answer. Thank you. So I guess there's no other question. We're already like 20 minutes past our 10 p.m. time, 10 a.m. time. I'd like to pass to Fina. Thank you again, everyone, for the engaging session. Oh, I have one. Can you play the Menti, the last slide just now? Just a quick one while Fina does the closing. So I'd just like to thank everyone for this session. If there's any mistakes on my part, I would like to apologize. But I enjoyed our session with all the 3 ladies up here. Great points for us to bring back: dedication, resilience, 5, the 2 key numbers, 5 and 9, if you want your kids to compete. Okay, and mental toughness. I think that's one of the things that actually separates the good and the great. Yeah. If the tech can play the last Menti slide. Boleh? Okay, 5 minutes. Maybe Fina can just start with the closing first, yeah, while we wait for the tech to get the menti.com ready. Oh, cenderamata, okay, cenderamata. Okay lah. Souvenirs, presentation of souvenirs to all our speakers.
And for souvenirs giveaways, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to invite Madam Ramona Muhammad. And Miss Shanti Pereira. Once again, please put your hands together to our remarkable panelists.
So we continue our session with Menti slide, Dato'. You want to continue with Menti slide or?
Testing. Boleh?
So there is no Menti slide. So Dato'.
Tak dapat dibuka. Okay lah, tak apalah. Actually, the last slide was actually a question on what you thought your takeaway was from this session. But it's okay. Thank you again, everyone, for your time and your passion for women in sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato' Charlene, for the session. Before we go for a coffee break, we would like to inform you about the fifth session, breakout room, that will start at 10:50 a.m. And we will introduce the moderator who will lead the discussion. So there will be 4 breakout rooms available during the next session and located on the mezzanine level. The list of participants will be displayed on a slide. So for the leadership team, will be discussed in Subang 1 room, and it will be moderated by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Suraya Yaakob. For the repertoire, Dr. Siti Aisyah Wahab and Dr. Maisara Syari from University Teknologi Mara. And next, for the next team, coaching will be moderated by Yang Mulia Dr. Tengku Fadilah Tengku Kamaldin in the Subang 2 room. Repertoire, Professor Madya Dr. Nelfianti Muhammad Rashid and Dr. Ruaiba Yazani binti Tengah from Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris. So for the team active lifestyle, will be discussed in Subang 3 room, which will be moderated by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Haja Wasita Haji Muhammad Yusof. Repertoire, Dr. Eliza Hafiz and Dr. Nor Iza Zainal Abidin from University Malaya. So the list of participants. Okay, lastly, for the voice and visibility team, will be discussed in Melati 6 room and will be moderated by Miss Rajas Paul. Repertoire, Dr. Nurwina Akmal Anwar and Dr. Nur Shakila Mazalan from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia.
And can we go back to the first slide? Okay, the leadership breakout room, Subang 1, and the list of the participants. This is the list. 42%. Leadership breakout room, Subang 1. Okay. Then we proceed to our second breakout room. Yang Mulia Dr. Tengku Fadilah Tengku Kamaldin, Subang 2 room. Okay. Next, the third one. Active lifestyle. That will be led by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Hajah Wasita, Haji Muhammad Yusof. And the last one, Melati 6 by Miss Rajesh Paul. Okay, once again, thank you all for your valuable contributions, and we look forward to see you again after the breakout session. Enjoy the coffee break. Thank you.